First, let's refactor the board component. We will create a function to render each square, so that we can add more functionality later. We will call the function renderSquare, and it will return a square component. Now, we will substitute all the square tags in the return expression, using function calls to render square within JSX containers instead. Save the changes and verify that there is no visual difference in the browser after this refactoring. In React, we pass data from a parent component to a child component. The data flows in one direction only in React. This makes it easier for us to keep track of the flow of data and also easier to identify bugs in our code. The mechanism in React for passing data from parent to child is called props, short for properties. For example, to pass a string from the parent board component to the child square component so that the square can display it, we add a single prop to the returned square component. Let's add a prop that we will call value to the square. We follow the value prop with an equals sign. Then we pass in the data that we want to flow down to the square. We can add a JSX container and add a JavaScript expression, or if it's just a string literal, we can wrap it in quotation marks. Let's pass a capital O string literal as an example. Now that we've added a prop called value to the return square tag, React gives us access to it via an object called props in the square component as the function input argument. Our passed-down value prop is simply a property within this props object. We can display its value instead of the capital X. Save the file and view the results in the browser. We have successfully passed props from the board component to all its square child components. Now, let's set an index value on each rendered square so that we can differentiate them and reference them individually. We will call the index lowercase I. We will make the index an input argument of the renderSquare function. Now pass this index to the square as its value prop. The index must be passed in within a JSX container because it is not a string literal. Now we can call each renderSquare function with a different index value for each of the 9 squares on the tic-tac-toe board, starting from index 0 for the top left square, going to index 8 for the bottom right square. After saving your changes, you can see each square display its own index value in the browser.